Have you ever wondered if you could get arrested for defending yourself? Imagine this. You're walking home late at night when suddenly someone jumps out of the shadows and attacks you. You fight back, maybe using your fists, maybe using a pocket knife, or even a licensed weapon. You survive, but when the police arrive, you are the one who gets arrested. Sounds unbelievable? It's not. It happens more often than you'd think. Across the United States and around the world, people have faced handcuffs, jail cells, and even criminal trials, all for trying to protect themselves or their loved ones. Let's talk about some real-life examples. In Texas, a man named John legally owned a firearm. When an intruder broke into his home in the middle of the night, he used it to protect his family. But when police arrived, they arrested John on suspicion of excessive force. In New York, a store clerk was assaulted by an armed robber. The clerk defended himself with a knife, and the attacker died. You'd think he'd be treated as a hero. Instead, he was charged with manslaughter. These stories are real, and they show how complicated the law around self-defense can be. So what does the law actually say? In most parts of the U.S., self-defense is legally allowed, but it's not as simple as, if you feel threatened, you can fight back. There are strict conditions. First, the use of force must be considered reasonable. That means you must genuinely believe you are in immediate danger, and the amount of force you use must match the level of the threat. Using deadly force against someone who is unarmed or retreating could land you in serious legal trouble. Then there's the concept of duty to retreat versus stand your ground. In states like Florida or Texas that follow stand your ground laws, you don't have to try to run away before defending yourself. But in states like New York or Massachusetts, the law says you must attempt to retreat first, if it's safe to do so. And let's not forget the castle doctrine, which gives you stronger legal protection inside your own home. However, that doesn't give you a free pass to use unlimited force. Even in your own home, your actions must still be proportional and justifiable. So why would police arrest someone who was simply defending themselves? There are a few reasons. First, in many cases, there are conflicting stories. If the attacker survives, they might claim you were the aggressor. Second, lack of witnesses can turn the case into one person's word against another's. Third, overuse of force. For example, if you kept hitting someone after they were no longer a threat, can quickly change your actions from defense to assault. And lastly, let's be honest, bias can play a big role. Studies show that race, gender, and even the local political climate can affect whether or not someone gets arrested after a self-defense situation. Now, what should you do if you are arrested after defending yourself? First and foremost, say as little as possible. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make. Don't try to explain or justify what happened to the police without a lawyer present. Instead, calmly state, I am invoking my right to remain silent and I want an attorney. Once you have legal representation, document everything. Take photos of injuries, write down everything you remember, and gather any available security footage or witness statements. A good criminal defense lawyer will help you present your case properly under self-defense laws. But remember, if a prosecutor believes you broke any law, even during a justifiable act, you could still face criminal charges. And now comes the most shocking twist. In 2022, a man in Illinois was walking with his wife when they were attacked by two strangers. The entire incident was caught on surveillance camera. He used a handgun to protect her, and everyone agreed that it was clearly self-defense. The attackers were armed, and his actions were fast and controlled. But prosecutors discovered that his concealed carry permit had expired. And instead of focusing on the assault, they charged him with unlawful possession of a firearm. Even though he saved his wife's life, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Not for assault, but for carrying without a valid permit. He beat the self-defense charge and still ended up behind bars. So can you get arrested for self-defense? The answer is yes. Not necessarily because you defended yourself, but because the way you did it or what you use might have broken another law. It's a frightening reality. The line between being a protector and becoming a suspect is thin, and it can change based on where you live, how you act, or who you are. Self-defense is your right, but it's also a legal tightrope. The best thing you can do is to know the laws in your state, avoid carrying illegal weapons, and always call a lawyer if you're ever involved in a violent confrontation. Share this with someone you care about. It might just save their life or their freedom.